Purnamaste. Purnamaste, everybody. Welcome. I'm here. Welcome. I welcome you to the art of the word, and I am from the heart. We're going to dive deep in the ocean of your being once again. And everybody, welcome, everybody. Love now. And as I always want you, don't think about the word and I am. Feel the word and I am, and let the answer be revealed within you. Answer is within you. And today we're going to speak about ego. We're going to speak about ego today. There is some new age idea which I don't like, which many masters, enlightened masters, we don't like this because we are enlightened. And anybody who is really knows what's good for them, if they want the highest good, because everything is good, they would resonate with this truth, because everything is truth on every level. If you want to be your ego, you can be your ego. But this video is about, you are not your ego. No. You are not your ego. Your ego doesn't exist. It's a matrix program to keep you in the matrix by always blaming you for who you are, that you are not good enough, that you should be better, that you should do what doesn't feel right to you, that others should disrespect you. Always blaming you for who you are, so that you are your false self, ego. Always afraid of yourself, so you are running away from yourself like twin flames. Some runners are running away from themselves. It's their ego chasing them. Running away from others, afraid of themselves, afraid of others. Ego, function of ego is to be afraid of you and afraid of others, of your true self and everybody, and then blame others, guilt, and blame you, guilt, and judge everybody, judge thyself, judge everybody. You are not good enough, nobody is not good enough, everybody is guilty, you are guilty. Ego is blaming you, and that's the false self, the ahankar. The false self. Now this idea, this is the false self, which is guilt and fear. And some say, like in the New Age circles today, that you should make friends with your ego, that you should love your ego, that you should accept your ego. Man and woman, what they are saying? This is a machine that hates you, that is not you. It doesn't exist. It's an artificial intelligence program. False self, ego. Blames you for who you are, makes you guilty for who you are. You are never good enough, wants you to be somebody else, blames, others judges, everybody runs on fear and guilt. And how can you make friends with this shit? How can you I make love with my ego, yes, but you cannot make friends with this shit. If somebody is hating you and judging you and they want to kill you, they want you to remain in the matrix, how can you make friends with them? You can unconditionally love them like Jesus and say, forgive them for they don't know what they're doing, but stay away from this, I release this shit. Hey, this person hates me, this person wants the worst for me. Project guilt and fear. You can love such person like source, but from the distance. But you cannot make friends with such person. So what they are saying is to make friends with your ego, to accept that you are your guilt, that you are your fear, that you are guilty, that everybody is guilty, that you are never good enough, that you judge yourself, that you hate yourself, that you judge others, that everybody is guilty for everything. And they actually telling you to make friends with that shit. That's like inviting an enemy in your house and letting him to do with you whatever you want. Ego. You don't hate your ego. You do not hate your ego. To hate your ego is to blame yourself. Now you are guilty for having a ego. You want to destroy and attack your ego. Now this is also wrong. I'm not saying you have to hate the ego, because this is now double ego. You are in the ego, judging yourself, blaming yourself for having an ego, and now this is a double ego. You cannot hate your ego. I give you my word that I am. You cannot hate your ego. You cannot make enemies with your ego neither. Because what you hate, what you attack, what you oppose, you give it energy. This is the energy of separation, false self, darkness, guilt, fear. And when you hating it, you producing more guilt, more fear. You blaming yourself. You making your ego only stronger. You are more miserable, more afraid, more disconnected, more guilty, more not good enough, more piece of shit. If you hate your ego, you know. You cannot hate your ego. But if you make friends with your ego, then you accept your fear, your guilt, your traumas, your judgment, your everything, your false self, everything what produces great problems and suffering in your life, if you accept this ego as your friend. You know. Then it becomes subconscious, because you have subconsciously swept it under the rock of your subconsciousness. Now it becomes you, and you run on that fear, on that guilt. You blame others and yourself. Maybe you become so righteous that you can judge others, that they are not good enough, that they are not on the right path, that you are so holy. It becomes subconscious, and you're running on ego, on guilt, on blame. You may blame others or yourself, or you become so holy that you are Jesus Christ, the Savior of everybody, because you have made friends with your ego. You accepted yourself as your ego, as your false self. Now you are that. It's subconsciously who you are, because you don't want to see that this is the false self blaming you and others, to keep you in the false self, to keep you in the matrix, to create the worst karma in your life by what the heck is ego doing? Blaming, judging. So, you cannot make friends with your ego, and you cannot hate the ego. In the both ways you enhance the ego to be stronger, and you are more in the ego, more miserable, more afraid, more running on guilt. But if you hate your ego, you are conscious of it. But if you accept your ego, you subconsciously, you may think you are the holiest, but not like I am. I know I'm the holy, I'm an enlightened man, but I only speak out on my page. I don't judge anybody. I don't come attack anybody. I don't tell you you are not good enough, you are in darkness, you are in the wrong path. I'm not in ego. So what can you do to release that ego? If you cannot make friends with the ego, and you cannot make enemies with your ego, huh? What can you do then? Like in the yesterday's meditation and day before yesterday video, when I spoke about meditation, about the mind, about how to still the mind, you have to understand that you are not the ego. Ego is the program of the matrix that runs to keep you in the false self, in the matrix, blames you and others. You are guilty, others are guilty. It runs on fear, afraid of you, afraid of everybody, afraid of your dreams, afraid of who you are. It's just a program that blames you for who you are, afraid for who you really are, and you are already that. Because underneath that fear, underneath that traumas, underneath that attachment, underneath that guilt, underneath everything that needs to be healed, that false self, you are already that. But your ego is blaming you. Your ego is blaming you. You are not good enough. You are guilty if you say no, if it doesn't feel right to you what people are doing. If they expect from you, you are guilty if you say no. You owe energy to them. You should do what doesn't feel right to you. You should give them what doesn't feel right to you, because you're a bad person. You are not good enough. Ego is blaming you for who you are. So underneath that fear, underneath that guilt, underneath that whole trauma of the ego, of the false self that needs to be healed, you are already who you are. But ego is preventing you and stopping you. Your false self, your guilt, fear, always telling you why you should be afraid to be yourself and follow your dreams, that your life is to collapse, that you will lose all the attachments, all the people that you are attached, and always blaming you that you are not good enough if you are yourself, and if you say no, what doesn't feel right to your soul. It's a program, artificial program, to keep you in the false self, to keep you in the matrix, to keep you in the 3D, when you and others consume your energy. And you consume energy of others, because so you just have to understand you are not that. You have to perceive all the guilt, all the fears, all these worst case scenarios, and when you want to follow your heart and express your heart and go after your heart, but ego is afraid. Or when others do shit to you and then ego is blaming you if you stand up for yourself. You are not that. You have to understand you are not that. You have to understand you are not that. All the guilt, blaming you and others, all the fear, the worst case scenarios telling you what will go wrong, what never had go wrong, and what will go wrong in the worst ways if you follow your heart. This is not you, this is program running. And all these negative thoughts that produce worry, anxiety, fear, this is not you. And you should you don't identify with it. You don't try to stop it. You understand, you perceive. This is negative, this is separation from the source. In the union with who I am, there's no guilt, there's no fear, there's no blaming of anyone, there's no confusion. There's only clarity following the heart. With no fear, with no guilt, unapologetically. Because you know you owe nothing to no one owes nothing to you. And you dare to be yourself because your ego is under control of the heart. You release the ego when you understand. This is negative. This is separation from the source. Because I'm thinking these crazy thoughts. Ego is thinking these crazy thoughts. I'm identifying with these crazy thoughts. Now it's fear, worries, guilt. I feel guilty. Ego blaming you. I feel no. This is just a sign that I'm in my ego when I go into these thoughts. These emotions, and I'm in the separation from the self. This is not who I am. This doesn't exist. This is darkness, the absence of the self. You know, it's not who I am. I'm not the darkness, and you don't try to stop it. You don't try to control it. For no means you don't blame yourself for this emotions and this worries and this thoughts. You just understand this is not who I am. You go in your heart. You stop following that in your action, in your words. You understand this is fear, this is guilt, this is ego blaming you for who I am. You don't follow in actions, like if something doesn't feel right to you and you stop somebody and then they gaslight you and try to make you feel guilty. You don't make you feel guilty. Oh, now they're trying to make me feel guilty with their ego. Now my ego trying to cooperate and feel guilty with them so they can do to me what doesn't feel right so I can stay in my false ego. No, you don't follow your ego. Your ego telling you, no, you cannot follow your heart. You cannot do what your heart is calling you. You will lose your life. It's unknown. It will be terrible. It gives you the worst case scenarios. But you understand, this is ego afraid of who I am and my dreams and my purpose in this world. And this is not who I am. And you don't follow it. And you have courage and faith and trust. You go in the heart. I am that I am. This never happened. I am the best that I can be, and if I follow my heart in trust and faith and do what is in my heart, and I am who I am, it's the best for me to be. I'm not at ego, I'm not at guilt. You give it no attention. You let it be afraid. Let it have this negative. Let it have worst case scenarios. But you understand you are not that. And you go within you. I am that I am. You find courage. You follow your heart. You find courage when something doesn't feel right to you and they gaslight you like somebody tried today. You don't back down. Doesn't feel right to me? No. If it doesn't feel right to me, it's not for me. Everything is energy. I'll not blame myself for being who I am and that they do to me what doesn't feel right to me. I never do to them what doesn't feel right to them. And if I would stop if they told me, you don't blame yourself, you don't follow your ego, you dare to be yourself. Say no when it doesn't feel right. You dare to follow your dreams, what your heart calls you. The worst case scenarios of ego, fear, and guilt. This means shit. This means shit. Yeah. That's how it goes, baby. I'll give you my word. And then, as you follow your heart, as you say no always what doesn't feel right to you, you dare to be yourself, you express who you are in your words, in your actions, you follow your heart. And your ego becomes weaker and weaker. And the callings of fears and worries and guilt become silent and weaker. Because in following your heart, you get the realization that it works, that is the best for you. The miracles happen. You gain your power. More and more you are in your true self. You live in the heart. And more you understand. You know you are the heart. You are not the ego. And it just becomes like some noise on the background. And you are the knowing in the heart that you are not that. And more you follow your heart, more and more you are true to yourself and others, never blaming yourself and others. More and more you are powerful in being in your true self, embodied in your divine power, in not ego but yourself. It's who you are. You identify yourself with your heart. You have courage to be yourself. You express yourself when something doesn't feel right, and you follow your heart. And as you continue to say no to your ego, to fear and guilt and your ego, blaming you and others, afraid of you and others, you just get more divine power. You get more truth. You embody your true divine self. And you just end up by always following your heart, never going against your heart, being yourself. You identify yourself with who you are, with who you truly are. You are in your true being. You understand ego is blaming you, afraid of me, afraid of others. And you just, it had there a chatter blaming. You are not that. I am that I am. You are being yourself, and you understand, I'm not my ego. I'm not my fear. I'm not guilt. This is separation from the self calling me back in the matrix. And more you practice it in action, following your heart, being true to yourself, expressing who you are, having courage to follow your heart, not your fear, having no guilt to say no when you mean no. More and more you embody your divine power, more and more you are yourself, you identify with yourself, and more your ego just becomes like some mental, like some noise, becomes silent, and it means nothing, because I am that I am. I am the heart. That's how you release the ego. In love. You don't judge it. You don't attack it, you don't hate it, you don't make friends with it, you understand. This is separation, the darkness, this is not who I am. You send love to your ego, you say thank you my ego for teaching me about separation, darkness, about karma, about fear, about guilt. So I learned about this world of separation and darkness, of guilt and ego, so I can now release you. Thank you for being a great teacher who taught me that fear is an illusion, that guilt is an original sin, because if you blame yourself, you act towards yourself, you judge yourself like Source never. Source loves you unconditionally for who you are. Every moment, regardless how you judge yourself, regardless how you failed, it is the best for you, the best you can be, the best lesson you received, you learning the best to master the best, even if it looks and appears and feels like worst. Now, Source always loves you as a master and loves you for the teachings that you receive and just for the magnificent divine presence of your magnificent divine being in this earth. Regardless, even if you do the most terrible thing that I cannot speak here, you are just learning about that separation on your level to get the lessons, so one day you can learn that this is separation, that maybe even this life you may realize, and you never do something like that, even if you kill somebody and then you help those who were killing others to heal them, or victims of those who were killed. But maybe you killed somebody that time and you went to jail for 30 years. People judge you, your mother judge you, even maybe mother not, mother never, father maybe yes, your friends, everybody. But Source loves you unconditionally, never blames you, for you just got to experience that time that you needed. So maybe after 50 years, you can become a master and stop killing in this world by your example. I know somebody who actually almost murdered somebody, and now he is a great singer of kirtan, spreading love all over Slovenia and Croatia and Macedonia. But that time he stabbed somebody many times and that person barely survived. Whew. And now he's like a saint. Source was never blaming him that time. And I'm giving that hard example, heavy example, because when you blame yourself for something, you're not good enough, that you are guilty, you are in false self, ego. That's the devil. Devil is the ego, the darkness doesn't exist. And you feel about yourself what Source never feels about you. You are in separation about yourself. You think about yourself what Source never knows about you. So you're making kind of offense to your true self, because Source loves you unconditionally. So guilt is original sin. If you blame yourself and others, it's original sin. You blaming always somebody that Source unconditionally loves, regardless what is happening. Guilt is original sin. That's how you release. When you understand you are good enough always, everybody is good enough always, learning the best that they can learn, getting the best lessons they can get to be the best and to master eventually the best, so they can progress on another level of consciousness. They may be needing this darkness now, and you don't judge nobody, you don't judge yourself, you are not guilty, nobody is guilty, and you just release that ego as a program with love. You are grateful for the lesson that you understand. You are not your ego, and now you can be yourself, because you're free of guilt, you're free of fear. Guilt of being yourself, blaming others, judging yourself, judging others for who they are and who you are, and everybody's the best that they can be. Free of fear of being yourself, following your heart, free of fear of yourself and free of fear of others. You release the guilt with love. The ego you release with love, but you don't make friends with it, you don't make enemies with it, because it's just a machine that doesn't exist, that with guilt and fear keeps you in a matrix, and that's all. So, ego doesn't exist. You cannot make friends with it, you can only release it with love, and you can be who you are from the heart. You are not your ego, and ego doesn't exist, it's darkness. So, How can you make friends with something that doesn't exist? You just can perceive that doesn't exist and release it, and you can be yourself, the truth, the light, the word that I am, and I give you my word. And this was all for today, and I appreciate you, and thank you for being part of the word that I am. I don't do messenger, I don't chat, I don't like even comments too much. I am like Zen master, really. I'm like hard to be me in this world. No, it's very easy. Sometimes I'm misunderstood, but the one that I am always knows that I am. And what most people want to do always, I don't want to do never. But I wanted to give you the word forever, not for the one, but for everyone. Because I'm only one, and I can speak 1 hour to everyone. And this sticks and remains. So, welcome to the Art of the Word that I am. You're always welcome. The answer is within you. Art of the Word that I am on Facebook. Answer is within you. In the silence of Messenger I am. And the answer is within you. Family, I appreciate your love. May you release that ego, it doesn't exist. And may you be the heart, love that I am, truth that I am, word that I am you. Thank you. May you be who you are. Stop blaming yourself, being afraid of yourself and others. Just be who you are. You are not your ego. I give you my word. And thank you. And if anybody feels like you want to share a donation with the Art of the Word that I am, share some support, you know, this is who I am. I give you the word and I am. I'm working with my purpose to achieve that what I'm here to do. I am that teacher now. I am that spiritual master now. I'm doing it now in faith and trust. And whoever ever offered me a donation, I'm so happy and appreciate you so much. And I'm so grateful, because without you, there would be no word that I am. I am the word that I am, and nothing else I have that word that I am. So I'm so grateful for every coin. I'm the abundance of the word that I am. And we are in this together. I'll never forget you, because you're helping me when I'm rising to my greatest purpose in this world. But I'm already in my purpose, that spiritual master that I am, giving you the deepest word that you are not your ego. But I cannot be more grateful, because without you who offer me a donation would not be where that I am. I give you my word. You help me to stay in this world so I can help others to get out of this world. It's funny comedy, huh? Thank you. I don't need healing. I don't need this. I don't need advices, no comfort, no to stay strong. But this is the assistance that I'm so grateful for and always open to. And maybe you receive from my heart even more. In giving we receive. Spiritual wealth is sometimes the greatest. But I'm so grateful for every donation that everybody, whoever offers me a donation. I don't chat with you. I don't send you a message. I send you much love. But I connect with your energy. I see in PayPal who you are. I connect with your energy in distance. And for every donation, White Light Source Quantum Healing, this is what I do also. I balance your energies. I purify out what needs to be purified. I ground you. I work on you. I fill you up with white light, healing light, source light. Because I'm so grateful. And you given me a gift, this I give you the gift. In the silence I don't say nothing. It's not for what you have given, and it's not, you don't buy this. But it's a gift for your gift. Your gift is free, as word that I am free. And this is something I do for everyone who ever offers me a donation. I am a powerful healer, but I cannot heal anyone. If you have faith in yourself, if you know that you are not your ego, if you stop blaming yourself, stop acting guilty, of being afraid of yourself, following your fear and guilt, and you dare to be yourself. You heal yourself. You become greater master. You save yourself. Then healing works. Then teachings works. When you work on yourself, when you do some changes in the life. and you feel, and then you trust what you feel, you follow what you feel, you work on yourself, and you release that ego. You know you're not that ego. And then you heal yourself. Nobody can heal you but you. And you save yourself. Nobody can teach you anything but you can master yourself. I only give you my word. And word that I am powerful, word that I am true, that I am in example, living example that I am. And healing light that I am power, healing light, power in example, the power. But I cannot do anything. It's your fate. It's your work on yourself. But I give you my word. I do healing on everyone, whoever offers me a donation. There's power in you if you do what's right for you and stop following your ego that always tells you what's not right for you. You save yourself, you become the greatest master. See you tomorrow. Always, most probable, always, just then, someday not. But I love to give you the word and I am, because I'm here to give you the word and I am and nothing else. And I love to write, I love to post. Everybody welcome on my page. There's so much. I always post short stuff. I don't only make one video and one article a day. I do a lot. So, but I don't do comments like debates in comments, giving you answers and like this. Sometimes if somebody is in trouble, I give him advice that will lift him up. But the one advice, I don't debate. Don't come here to teach. This is my class. I'm a teacher here. But if you get some value here, if you get some empowerment, you are welcome. But the answer to the word that I am is within you. Maybe not my answer. That's why some disturb me. But I love you. I give you the word. May you become greater masters as I am. Merry Christmas forever, always. You are the Christ that's getting born, not your ego. Your ego is dying on the cross of time. Be born as a Christ, as your true self. God that I am you. Namaste, namaste, namaste.